singer. I just teach music. But this is the way I feel tonight. Lately I've been winning battles left and right, but even soldiers, they get weary in the fight. People say that I'm amazing, far beyond my years, but they don't see inside of me. I'm hiding all my tears. They don't know that I go running home when I fall down. They don't know who picks me up when no one is around. I drop my sword and cry for just a while, 'cause deep inside this armor, the warrior is a child. Unafraid, because his armor is the best. But even soldiers need a quiet place to rest. People say that I'm amazing, never face retreat. Oh no, but they don't see the enemy who lays me at his feet. They don't know that I go running home when I fall down. They don't know who picks me up when no one is around. I drop my sword and cry for just a while. Deep inside this armor, the warrior is a child.
Good morning, and welcome to Dear Life After. I am so glad that you chose to join us today. Listen, you could have been doing so many other things, but you took the time out to be here with us, and for that, we're grateful. Listen, but you still have time to do what? Tag your friends and tell them to join us right now live. Listen, we have an amazing guest on today. Listen, you just had just a snippet of who she is, a snippet of who she is. So listen, I do not want to waste time. Without further ado, we're going to bring on Grammy Award winner Pamela Dawson.
Good morning, world. How are you? I'm fine. I come to shine. I wake up every morning with a song in my heart, thanking God for this beautiful day. Oh my God. I have to tell you, first of all, you played that clip, and I'm sitting here just crying.
Oh, listen, yes, it's so touching because music does so much for the soul. It's just so amazing. Um, and I remember because I've seen you play in person, and so it's just amazing. Music is just amazing. It can make us laugh, it can make us cry. It just brings out so many emotions in us, but it's just awesome for
You,
what
you
it does.
know, in that particular video, can I just talk about that for a second? I
You
mean,
can talk about that video, you can.
because that was probably one of my most transparent moments. I had been beat down and going through so much. And, I got a little harp next to my bed when I just feel inspired. And that particular night, that was probably one of my favorite songs that Twyla Paris did, "The Warrior is a Child," because it meant so much to me. Because sometimes we're so strong, and everybody see this strong person, and they don't know that you're just a little baby, that you cry and that you hurt. But who do you run to? And
Absolutely.
you run to God. And that particular night, I just sat there, and I don't know. I normally don't do that. Normally, I don't record myself playing, um, and I just push the button on my iPad, and I just start playing, and then God, and I recorded, and then the Lord told me, share that to everyone. And I was like, oh my God, look, a hot mess. You're in your pajamas, you're sitting on your bed. But do you understand? I got so many comments and so many people who said they needed to hear that at that particular moment, that it blessed them so much, because I showed my transparency for me, that I am not this great person that everybody see every day, that that you go home and you cry. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you, it's just a blessing to be led by the Holy Spirit. And so I'm sitting here listening to it like, oh, I forgot I recorded that. That was just, it blessed me. So anyway, I just had to just share that. I thank you for sharing that with everyone. Thank you,
Oh,
Sherry.
absolutely, absolutely. Because, like I said, music does so much. Brings out so many emotions in all of us, and just to hear you play, it was just so soothing and just like, oh my goodness, it just takes you into a calmness, peace, tranquility. Just listening to, the music as well as the words touching our hearts. You know and knowing that that was a transparent moment for you because that's what we want to be able to be transparent because when we're transparent then we know that God can get the glory in the things that he's done and doing in our lives
Yes.
you know um, and so you are Grammy Award winner Pamela Dawson, and listen, I'm just honored that you took out the time of your day to be here with us and just to kind of share your story with everyone. Because, like you say, people see us and they see the strong person and they don't know, the struggles and the process of getting to where you are on today.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that, I know you from coming to the church and bringing that awesome, amazing choir from Soto High School. Oh my goodness. Listen, they were absolutely amazing. And so that's actually how I first met you was through you bringing the choir
To the
uh,
high, to the
Covenant.
church. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But going from that, just kind of tell us how you transition or how, you got into music educate, being a music educator.
Okay. Well, so always, I was just sharing with somebody a couple of days ago. My mom and my father. My father was an organist at the church,
Okay.
and my mom played the piano. And so, from a little girl, my mother would sit me next to her, and I was probably about 2 or 3. And the first song that she ever taught me was "Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus." Look full in this wonderful face, and the things of this life will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. That was my first song. My mom would sit there and she would play all these hymns, and I would go to church and with my dad. And my story is long. I got a musical family. My uh, god sister, her name was Dorothy Ashby. She was a jazz harpist, and she put me in front of the harp when I was 5. Um, this huge, big instrument. I was like, oh my God, what is that? What is that? And then my dad took me from that point on, and my father started teaching me piano. And I just love musical. So we were in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I
Okay.
have 8 brothers, so it was 9 of us. And I used to say we're going to be the Wilson Nine, or the Wilson, because we were all going to the basement and we would play, and my brother played the drums and guitar or whatever, and we would just have a great time. And I would sing, and uh, but my love for music just kind of kept going on and on and on. So I was in school. I took piano lessons. I was in choir when in elementary school, and my first teacher, Miss Tate, she was like, and she told my mom, and she kept in touch with me all these years, and she said, that girl is going to be something special. She got music in her. She told my mom that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I just love music. But ended up, long story, went to Cass Tech High School in Detroit, Michigan. I was a music major and loved music. Just wanted to go into the music business world. Never wanted to perform. Never wanted to be a performer.
Okay.
Never
Okay.
wanted to teach. My mom says, "Oh, you should be a teacher." I'm like, my mom taught Sunday school and Bible study, and I was like, "Oh no, mom. I'm not going to teach. I can't deal with all those crazy kids." So
Because they crazy, right?
they're crazy. And so, I'm telling my mom this, so I'm in Detroit, life passed and I got married, had 2 daughters, da 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 da. Then life happened. Okay.
Okay.
Life, okay.
Life happened.
And I used to, and I'm gonna say this. I was in music ministry. I had my own group, Adoration Music Ministry. We would go and we minister, and I, hung out with all the Thomas Whitfield Company, all the people in Detroit. Um, but life happened. I ended up getting divorced. I lost my job, and I remember saying, God, what are you doing? Okay, this big
Mm.
shift in my life. What are you doing? And um I would just pray and I would just sing. And I'm a worshiper. So, I figured out that you had to go to the feet of Jesus to get anything that you want. You just can't figure it out on your own. And not to turn your back
Absolutely.
on anybody. People can hurt you, but God is your source and you always go to
Yes.
him. I was just praying, I would pray. And the Lord told me it's time to move. It's time to go. So he starts shaking up everything and he's like, I'm closing every door behind you. And so my prayer was, Lord, wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, send me to where you want me to go. But I have to go back again because you asked me about education. My daughter, she was 8 years old. And I was actually in a corporate world. I was not a music
Okay.
teacher. I was in corporate. Um, and my daughter was having problems at school. And I said, I need to go up there and see what's going on. So I literally quit my job and started volunteering in the school because I wanted to be with her and I wanted to make sure that she was okay and that she was getting a proper education and she was being treated fairly. So
That's
I just said, I'm quitting. I'm going to be with my
just
baby.
like that.
Just like that. Left my
Okay.
job, went and I volunteered for a year. Oh my gosh. And the teacher, she was so happy that I came because not only did I make a difference in the students' lives, I made a difference in her life. And I was able to minister to her so that she could be able to look at those students a little differently and be able to pour into them what they needed. And that was my
Oh,
first experience in the classroom, third grade, or, teaching. And so the principal was like, oh, you should be a volunteer and teach. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm not doing this forever. I'm not going to volunteer. I'm
that
not.
was the beginning.
That was the beginning. So ironically, like I said, I was in corporate and I was doing a lot of doing PIMS, data computer information system things. And I worked at this little camp, Cranbrook in Detroit. in the summer. And I met this lady, and she was like, Pam, you have so much musical knowledge, and you're so good, in with computers. I tell you what, she says, I am going to be the new assistant principal at this school in Detroit. And why don't you come work for us there? And then will you start a choir? And I was like, I guess I could do that. That sounds good. As it wasn't too challenging, like, okay.
It
And so
wasn't too much.
I
Okay.
said, I said, hey, I don't have my teaching certification. She's like, that's okay. We'll ask for a temporary permit for you to teach, for the school district. It was a Catholic school system. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. Went to Benedictine High School, started teaching there. I mean, I started working over the summer, and first day, get into my little choir class. I stand in front of these students and I start teaching. And I said, oh my God, this is my calling.
Now
That
that's amazing. That's amazing. At
that
that
was
very moment. At
at
that very moment,
at that very moment, I
you
knew
knew.
that was my calling. And
Oh
then my
wow.
whole life, just went musically, just kind of took off. And like I said, but anyway, going back to getting to Texas, I left, packed up my bags, but I had to believe God. See, that song that I just sang, "The Warrior is a Child," that we have to just get in front of at the feet of Jesus and just really pray and ask God, not what we want, not our will, but what is your will for my
Absolutely.
life, Lord? And
Absolutely.
I literally asked the God, close every door that you don't want me to walk into and open every door that you want me to walk in.
Now you know what? That takes a lot of courage to actually say that because and faith because you know what? So often we say we want what God has for our lives, but when it comes time for us to make those steps and to walk in that, it's so different for us. And so for you to be able to do that is absolutely amazing. And when you came to Texas, were you first at DeSoto? Did you go straight to working at DeSoto?
So, story of DeSoto. I interviewed for all these schools, right? But it was just ironically, here's the thing. I started applying. I applied in Atlanta, California, North Carolina, and Texas. Those were the four places I applied. I
Okay.
had about 5 interviews scheduled for Texas. So I flew out here, broke, didn't have, wait a minute, story, lost everything I had. I was about to lose my house on welfare. Okay. And I'm being transparent because I literally was on welfare, had nothing. And God literally, I had points enough to fly to Texas. My mom gave me money for a rental car and a hotel. I came to Texas. This is true. I had nothing. And I remember when I went into the welfare office now, and I'm just sharing this because somebody needs to hear this because here
Absolutely.
I am a teacher. I've been teaching for years, my life together, travel, I had, my life was fantastic. And to be downgraded to have to go to the welfare office and apply. I remember sitting there and I was talking to the intake lady and I'm crying and she looked at me and she said, honey, this is only temporary. God is about to do something in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
She said,
Absolutely.
she said that to me. And but oh my God, I'm degraded to this. But I had to, like I said, my prayers were, God, what do you have for me? What is your will? I came, I came out here, interviewed all the schools wanted me to come and teach, right? But I
Hmm.
had applied for DeSoto. I applied for DeSoto High School, but they never called me for an interview. So I went through my interview process.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I am serious. They never called me for an interview. So
Oh wow.
I went through all my interview processes. I was getting ready that morning to get up and fly back to Detroit, and I narrow my job down to the one that I was like, okay, well, I'll take this. And so I God told me that morning, go to DeSoto.
Mm.
So, back in that day, you had the map quest. Well, I didn't know where Texas was. I'm map.
Yes.
I had
Oh,
the
good,
map quest.
good
Oh,
faithful map quest.
yeah.
Yes.
Got my way, got down to DeSoto, walked in. I met this wonderful secretary. Her name was Georgetta Stevenson. And I said, hey, I'm here. My name is Pam Dawson. I want to speak to the principal about the position. And she says, he's at lunch, but she said, just sit here and wait for a minute. He'll be back. And I went in and I shook his hand, and his name was Dr. Aubrey Todd. And I went in, I said, hello, my name is Pamela Dawson. I applied for your position, but I never heard back from you. And he says, I kind of remember your resume. Michigan? Yeah. And I said, I'm here. Okay. And I literally said, I'm here. Okay. And he said to me, oh my God, we talked and he was like, your ability and your everything that you have is exactly what we need for DeSoto. And he said to me, I was going to hire somebody else, but welcome to DeSoto High School. And
Wow. Just like that.
just like that. And so, but things
And
happen.
you know
Okay.
that.
Let me tell you some of the story. Things happen. My certification wasn't right. Da 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 da. HR said they couldn't hire me. La 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 la. And because they're like, and so I said, okay, well, in the meantime, I said, well, I got to do something. So they said, well, we can hire you as a sub. I said, that's not enough money for me to survive. I can't work on a sub. So I ended up taking another job in my first year at DeSoto. And so after they got all my paperwork, they called me maybe in the middle of the semester and said, hey, we want you to come over. We got your transcripts and everything ready. And I said, I can't do that. I'm a woman of my word. And I signed this contract with this other school and I'm going to finish out this school year. And that's just kind of who I am. I'm a woman of integrity. I'm not going to just get up and
Absolutely.
okay and say, oh well, forget you guys over here. I'm coming over here. I said, let me finish out the school year. But I ended up coming to DeSoto in 2007 and been there. And my students, they tell me now, my alumni, they're like, we remember you coming in and saying, we're going to do that, that, that. They're like, who is this lady? Who is she? And I came in and just said, woof, okay. And I'm going to tell you, it was the best thing I ever did in my life. And I went in and I started working. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm from Detroit now. I don't play. Okay, you got to get that little swag. I'm from the
The
east side.
Music City. I'm from the
I'm
Music
from Music
City.
City. I'm not playing with you
That's
guys. You
right.
have to come on. You got to come up to like for bright glory. And my students were wonderful. They received me. I'm gonna tell you, I had some bumps along the way for my music teachers. My choral teachers out there. It is hard, and it is hard restarting, and it is hard building. But that's where God had me, and I walked in, and I had students. I mean, I've actually had other teachers ask me, how do you do what you do with those students? And I said, you know what? I don't know. I don't
See,
know.
you
I
do
don't know.
you do know because you know what? Because listen, look at how God just lined it up.
It's God. I mean, but see, when you're talking to another choir teacher, you can't tell them it's the anointing. Okay, because they don't know what. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm preaching good. They don't know
No,
what that
no,
is.
that's okay because we want you to tell it. Tell it.
They don't,
Tell it.
they don't know what it is. What is it that's on my life that you don't have? Okay. And I'm walking in God's anointing. And it was not later, like I said, I used to like I said, I'm a praise and worshiper, and I used to always go to conventions. I remember going to a class with Benny Hinn, and I remember teaching this taking this class and reading his books, and he said the anointing costs. We never know what
Wait a
that
minute.
costs us.
Somebody needs to hear that again.
The
The
anointing
anointing costs.
cost. And everything, and I'm only telling you tidbits of my story because my story is deep, and I've been on my floor in the middle of my living room floor crying out to God and say, God, don't give me no more because I can't take this. But that anointing cost.
Yes,
And so the
absolutely.
anointing of my life, I had to go through. I had a new teacher come to me just out of school. He was like, how do you do? Oh my God, you have this. I said, I had to pay the cost to get to where I am.
Listen, you know what? People don't understand that because people see the as I say, the end product,
They
so to
see the
speak.
end
So they
product.
don't see the process. They don't see the sleepless nights and the crying and the crying out and all the things that you go through. So all they see is that, okay, here she is, Grammy Award winning, Pamela Dawson, but
Mhm.
they don't know the process of going through the fire, so to speak.
I went through the fire. I literally went through the fire, and I am actually going to start. I'm write my book because I'm going to tell people my story because my story is
Yes.
deep. Okay, and I paid some serious cost to get to where I am. And I want to talk. I'm gonna go back to that video you played at the beginning. That particular day, I had went through so much, and I was so tired, and I was ready to give up. And believe it or not, when I recorded that video saying the warrior is a child, I had just received that I was nominated again the second time for the Grammy. But I
Mm.
did not want to go through the process. Okay, let me tell you something.
You
I
didn't want to
said,
go through the process.
I said, Lord, I was a top 10 finalist in 2021. I was a, top 10. I didn't win that year. And I was nominated again. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm nominated. But I didn't want the disappointment. I didn't want to go through it. And I came home, but it wasn't because of that I sung that song. But later on, I went back to school and I said, my students, I said, I'm in the top 20. I made the top 225. I made this quarterfinals. And I have to go through this process again, recording videos and things for the Grammy. And
Yes.
I told my students, they were like, Miss Dawson, do it. And I said, I don't want to do it. I said, I'm not gonna do it. And they're like, why? I said, I don't feel like it. I don't want it. And it was my students who pushed me, who said, it was like 2 weeks before the deadline was for me to turn in my videos. And I said, okay, all right, we're just going to record a class. Okay. And God specifically, here's the thing. It's just, it oh, God is awesome. He
He
said,
is.
okay, he said, I want you to teach this in class recorded. In the midst of teaching, I had one student, and I didn't know she was going to do this. We had video cameras going around the classroom to make this recording. And the videographer, which was one of my students, Ron Flanagan, wonderful guy, one of my alumni, we had a video in the back of the room, an iPad recording. And I thought I was done. And so one of my students got up and she said, Miss Dawson, I need to read something to you. She stood up. She has this note in her hand. And I'm not going to tell you the entire note, but she read the note basically and said that she thanked God for me because she never thought that she was going to make it to her 16th birthday.
Oh my God.
But I was there and I ministered to her and I told her that she had a lot to live for. And I showed her the purpose of her life and the use of music in her life. And it was because of me that she didn't kill herself.
My God.
Let me tell you, the video was running. Didn't know that we recorded this. So when we were doing the final cuts for me to play the video to do one, I saw it and I was like, "What's this?" And I had to do another little video for the Grammy Foundation. Is wanted to, and they ask a lot of questions. One of them was, "What was my proudest moment of being an educator?" And I played that video. My proudest moment over the 29 years that I've been teaching was to know that I saved a child's life. What more can
Yes.
you
Yes.
have as an educator, as a person, as a human being, as a child of God to say that
Yes.
I had that impact on somebody's life?
Yes. Absolutely. God is amazing.
And, you know, so after the whole Grammy thing, I'm talking to the Grammy, people who review the videos. And after I won, and I said to them, I said, why did I win? And I said there are so many amazing music educators in this world out there that I was running against. They were like, you know what? we don't look only at what you do musically.
That's right.
And because I made an impact on this child's life and because on these students, that's what won me the Grammy. So sometimes, we don't even look. Look, I never thought in a million years I was going to get a Grammy. Okay,
But
in a
listen,
million years.
but it's the impact that you make on somebody else's life. And so you saved her life because of who you are in him.
In him.
In him.
And listen, I'm in school, so I can't be sitting there preaching every day to these kids. But you know what? I do preach every day. And so actually I'm doing a seminar in at TMEA coming up February 8th. And it's actually called Bringing Life to Text in the Music in the Choir Classroom. But what I do, I'm gonna tell you something. I find God in everything that I do. Okay, I don't care what we're singing about. If we're talking about the birds and the trees and how people, the love story, how is
Yes.
it that we find God in the text? And I'm like, and I expand it, and they're like, oh my God, we never saw it that way, Miss Dawson. We never saw it. So I'm ministering to these students every day. So I remember when I moved to Texas and I was at this church, and listen, I ain't gonna talk to you the church, but the pastor got up and preached and talking about how people sitting in the congregation don't use their gifts and they're not using their calling. And I remember the pastor's wife calling me, and I said to her, she says, "Why won't you play? And why won't you do this?" I said, "Don't you know I walk in my calling every single day? I am doing what God purposed for me."
And you know what? And that's amazing because everybody don't know what their purpose is. And if they're walking in what God has purpose for their lives. And so when you walking in it and
I know it.
you know it. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, you know, listen, making a difference when that young lady read that letter to you, if that wasn't confirmation of, look, hey, this is what I purpose you to do, to make
Mhm,
an impact on these children's lives.
mhm.
But it's not just about, teaching them a note, how to sing a note.
Nope, nothing about that. Has nothing to do with that.
Nothing.
Nothing to do that. It has nothing to do with actually teaching music. I mean, it's what you put into it. It's who you are. And
Yes.
one of my ending statement to my session that I'm doing in February is when you bring you to the classroom,
When you bring him to the
unapologetically, you
classroom.
bring him. Now he got to be in your life now, okay?
Yes,
I'm bringing
absolutely.
him, but you know what? We are nothing but vessels. I keep saying that God ain't looking for golden and silver vessels. He's looking for yielded vessels. What are we
Yes,
doing?
yes, absolutely. Isn't it
Mm,
amazing? Because we think, oh my God, how he chose little old me.
he
You
chose
know,
little,
because when you were at the welfare office talking to those people, you had no idea
no
on
idea.
how he was going to use your story to edify him, to edify the kingdom.
Nope.
You went from sitting at the welfare office
With the welfare office to win the
to
Grammy.
to winning a Grammy. Now, come, show me that Grammy. Show it to them. I think they need to see it.
It's heavy.
Somebody
Come
might
on,
not
guys.
believe.
Look at that.
Look at her.
Look at that. Got my
Look
name
at
on it.
that.
Look at it. My Grammy. Pamela
Your
me
Grammy.
my Grammy.
That's what God did. God said, listen,
God did that.
God did that. God said, if you will just be you, who I called you to be, and walk into what I called you in, then I'm going to show the world. The world
Trust
will
him.
get to know.
Yes.
So the
The God,
world knows. Listen, it's amazing.
yeah,
There is
that's
no, some people say that the sky is the limit with God. No, there is no limit. I serve a limitless God.
I serve a limitless God, and God said I could do all things. He says, "There's nothing. Is there anything too hard for God?
Not
Nothing."
anything. Not
That's
anything.
right.
On our darkest day, there's not anything too hard.
And listen, we all have them. We go home. We tired. We don't know. But you know what? We just gotta trust Him. And I mean, even when you don't feel like trusting Him, you gotta.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you, even after that, my move to Texas, I'm gonna tell you, my mom. My mother, she's passed, and my mother was my rock. Okay, I miss her so much. But my mother, on her dying bed, I was with her, and she looked, and I said, "Mom, people were coming to see her before she died," and I said, "Mom, look at all the people that you've touched and you've made a difference in your life." And she held my hand, and she says, "Pam, I've only touched a fraction of people that you're about to reach." She said,
Mm.
"God has a purpose on your life and a calling on your life." She says, "You don't even know it." She says, "I don't even know what," this is what she was so funny. When I moved to Texas, she says, "I don't know what a DeSoto is, and I don't even know where it is." She says, "But I'm prophesying you're about to take them by storm. You're about to go in, and they don't know who this Pamela is from Detroit, Michigan, that's about to walk into DeSoto." And I was like, "Oh, mom, oh, mom, you're so silly." And my mother said, "Oh, you just so humble, just like your daddy. You just ain't no big deal. No big deal." That's what my mother always say. You always say, "No big deal." And I do, no big deal. But you know what? Because it's never about me. It's never
Right.
about me.
Yes. That's the beauty of it. But that's part of why he chose you, because he knew that Pamela was finna try to take the spotlight,
Mm-mm.
because she's doing what I called her to do.
That's right.
And I think that so often, sometimes we miss it if we're not trying to be humble and remaining humble, because it's about him. It's not everything ever about us. As they
It's,
say, as the song says, it's all about Jesus.
it's all about Jesus.
It's all about Jesus.
It's all about you. Even when I was at school, at the high school, the communications department, we need pictures of the choir. We need the picture choir. And they said, "Pam, why are you never in the pictures?" I said, "Because it ain't about me. It's not about me. It, it's not about Pamela. Okay, I'm just doing what God called me and told me to do. Period. Exclamation point.
Yes.
That's it."
Yeah. That's it. That's all.
And so my whole life is nothing but a testimony. It is nothing but a testimony. And I thank God for it. And I'm watching him open doors for me that I can't even imagine. And winning the Grammy is just like the tip of the iceberg, because I'm believing God is going to do greater things, and he's using me. And I thank him because now he's giving me a bigger voice and a bigger audience that can hear. And I can use music to teach people how they can be healed and they can
Oh
be
my God.
delivered.
And you know what? And that's what I was saying, when they played the clip of you playing the harp, and just how that puts you in a place, of just peace and calmness. And sometimes that's just exactly what a person needs to reflect, and to be reminded, of who Jesus is in our lives, and that we would not be anything without him. That he is our everything. And that's what music should do. Like I said, music can either make you happy, it can make you sad, it can make you laugh. There are so many emotions that come, with music. And that's a blessing, because you have that gift, you have that anointing all over you. You know.
And that's what people see. They're like, "What is it about her?" There's nothing about me except the anointing of God on my life. That's all. you know and
Yes.
that's what they so when I walk in, I go to school, and I opened up my when I said, "Good morning world, how are you? I'm fine, I come to shine." I say that every single day when I walk into school, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's on 100 already." And I'm like, "She's on 100." And I said, "You know what? Because we have to know why are we here, and find it."
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I come in, and I have a song in my heart all the time. Every time we think, "Where's that song?" And music, and what else can we do? I did a seminar. I'm gonna tell you this. I did a seminar, and I was talking about the spiritual, okay, and
Okay.
how the spiritual, we came into the spiritual during Juneteenth and whatever. But I was saying Do you know that when we sit and we start humming, have you ever noticed that if you don't feel good and you just start humming and you have a little song in your heart and you hum, that you're healing yourself because the vibrations from your body, your acoustic cavity in your chest, is actually creating a healing process.
Mm.
Have you ever thought when you, if you, people know this, your stomach, if you got a stomach ache, you start saying, and you hum and you rock,
Yes.
you're healing your body because
Oh
the
my.
vibrations you're making musical vibrations in your body, in your
Wow.
acoustic cavity right here. So that, and I said, have you ever? I said, I'm not from the South, okay, I'm from the North, but I used to, watch. I had some neighbors, and they would sit on the rocking chair, and they would just sing, and they, I love you, Jesus, and they got a
Mm.
song in their heart. And if you start singing like this, and everybody on this camera, if y'all just start humming, you have to feel it in
Mm.
your chest. You actually feel it.
Yes. Yes, you do. You know what? And that's so funny you say that. I remember as a little girl, my grandmother would sit there and she'd be rocking and humming and singing.
There you go.
I
You
mean,
know,
and when you think about it in the Baptist church, growing up as a little girl, when they would do what we call, and I don't know if some churches still do this or not, but they would do what we call devotion.
I love the
And
Lord.
they
He
would be
heard my
sitting,
cry.
and yes, yes, they'd be rocking and humming and
And guess what? That's a healing power. Nobody knows it.
oh my God. Yes, yes,
That's
God.
actually healing the physical body.
Oh my God. Yes.
And see, in singing, we have two cavities. We have the one in the front of our head, and we have our chest. And that's where the sound comes from. And so that's where all that, those the movement and the vibration happens right here and right here.
Mm, my God.
And
That is
God created us that way, didn't he? Huh? He did.
yes, he did. Because he's amazing like that. He's amazing like that. Yes.
How can you not but serve a wonderful God? I mean, I'm just saying, you just, I don't know. I just love him so much. And like I said, I don't get a chance to preach all the time because I'm always in front of students. I don't get a chance to talk about, but I do,
Yes.
but I don't. And
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? I don't get a chance to do that, the goodness of what God. So like being at church, and now being, with the choir and working with the praise team, now I get to just tell them what they really need. I get to say, this is what we're really doing. This is what we're called to. We sang
Yes.
that song last Sunday. We're called to be. Okay, this is what we're called to be. We're supposed to be on the front line. We're those psalmists. We're the Levites. We lead our people. Come on now, we.
Yes.
Mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm.
Yes. Absolutely. This is just, this has been so amazing. I mean, this is just so, oh, I don't even have the words in regards to, how I feel right now in regards to just hearing your story, completely. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what God has for your life, and what He's going to do. And just knowing, what a blessing it is that He placed you with us at New Covenant. Oh
Oh,
my God. I'm just,
and I
oh,
love my Pastor Bird. Listen, I love my Pastor Bird and my Lady Bird. They just some. And
yes.
Story don't know that I taught Dre. He was in my choir. That's how I met them.
Oh, wow.
He went to
Yes, that is
the
amazing.
choir.
That is amazing. It's just amazing how, God just lines things up in our lives and we don't ever just, we don't know. We don't know. We didn't know that we'd be here at this very minute. But God knew. Um, so what just give us some final thoughts on what you tell somebody who's having some struggles in their life and just don't see how they're gonna make it. Like they might not know Jesus, because there are people who don't know him like we do. So they don't love him and adore him and know how amazing he is and the things that he's brought us through.
I would
But
say and I know everybody's not at the place where that prayer that I use, but I'm still at that same place that I pray. And even if you don't know God and you want to just actually be able to move from the next point and you're at the end, God says the little prayer. We learned the prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But if we can just say, God, what do you have for me? Ask him, what do you have for me? And then you have to say, Lord, show me. And if you can get to the place where you can ask God to close the doors and the people,
that's the hard part. Yeah.
because sometimes we carry a lot of baggage and we got people that are around us, and we have to remove those things from away from us so that we can go to the next step. And sometimes we stay in the same spot and we wonder why we keep going around that same circle and why we got to be doing that same test, because we haven't changed. I remember one of my pastors said, if you want to change, make a change. You have to be that first person to take that step. And you have to be able to believe that God can do it. You don't know him, but he can show himself. See, God don't need us. He doesn't need us at all. He is God all by himself. But if you can just believe and say, Lord, what do you have for me? Show me and help me being able to walk into the next thing in my life. Close the doors and believe that when God closes the door, he closed the door on purpose. He not in no windows to break in. He ain't giving you another way to get in. If you close the door, don't try to break back in. Let the door close. And then believe him to open the next door. And once you take that first step, I'm telling you, it's so hard, because when I left Detroit, I knew I had to make a change. I was scared. My first step, I remember my friend called me and said, make the first step. My first step was I put a for sale sign in front of my house. One step. And when I made that first step, God made everything else come. He
Yes.
said, if you take one step, he'll take two.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So somebody needs to know they need to take that step.
Take that step and
Take
believe
that
it.
and believe him. Yes. We have to believe him. And taking that step is like walking in the faith, because so often we want to see and we're not going to see, because faith is us taking the step, being able to see.
Mhm. Yes, it
You
is.
know? Yeah, faith is us walking and taking the step without being able to see what's next,
You don't know
but
what's,
trusting him,
but you
but
just got to.
trusting him. And that's oh my God.
This has been.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us, to impact somebody else's life on today, because I know it's impacted me, just hearing your story and knowing, and just it's a reminder of taking the step, even when I can't see what's next,
Even when you can't see what's next.
even when I can't see what's next.
And just believe God. Somebody said in the little comment that they don't know what their calling is. Ask God, what is your calling on my life? He'll show you.
Yes. Yes, because he will definitely tell you what it is. That's for sure.
Yeah,
And yes, and he will definitely open up doors that we can't even imagine that will be opened, you know?
sure
Yes,
will.
yes. So grateful, so grateful. I just, I am elated. I can't wait to see what doors God is going to open up in your life next.
I
I
can't
can't,
wait either, because I have no clue. I have no clue. And I am walking that, and Pastor did preach that, talking about faith is that walking, and you can't see the staircase, you just walk it. And I'm just walking. I'm like, Lord, I am blindly walking. And I'm gonna tell you, final thought. I decided I was going to retire this year. And I was like, God said it was time for me to retire from DeSoto. So I am officially retired. And when I filed my papers, I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, Lord, what am I going to do? And I, that was a step of faith. And I'm going to tell you what, I filed, and then all of a sudden, doors start opening right in front of my
So
face. And I was like, you want me to do this, Lord? You want me to do, oh, oh my God. But
yes,
I had to take that step in order to do that, to get to where God wants.
yes, yes. We have to take the step if we want him to move. We gotta walk without being able to see. It's
Hmm.
okay.
It's okay. It's
Because
okay.
he's in control, and that's faith. Is
Yeah.
walking without being able to see.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us on today. Uh, so if somebody did not get a chance to see it, we hope that they will definitely watch and share the replay, because somebody needs to know this story. Somebody needs to know.
Nobody needs a story. And I'm
Yeah,
here. And listen, I'm just Pamela Dawson. I am nobody but a child of God. That's all I am.
and hey, that's enough because you belong to him. You belong to him, and that's what's so amazing about you and your life and the things that you do and the lives that you impact. And again, we were so elated that you chose to be able to take the time
Well,
out to
thank
be here.
you for inviting me. And I really pray that I was able to share my story can help someone. And eventually you will see my book come out. Eventually. I'm working on it. I just started. So
Yes, and when you have your book, we'll have you come back and talk about your book.
yes, yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will definitely have you come back because somebody needs to know that there is life after.
There's life after.
That there is life after. But they have to take that step, even though they can't see what's next.
Yes.
And we don't want to, please, please, please like, tag, and share. And we have so many amazing things on this network. It's the Lonnie B and Company Network. If you are not already following all of the platforms here, please follow Lonnie B and Company and Network on Facebook and YouTube as well as following Dear Life After here on Facebook and YouTube. And we have other shows. Yes, we have morning Bible study with Manny Cush every third Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss it. It's an amazing Bible study. So please, please. Then we have Blue Ministries podcast the second and fourth Mondays at 7 p.m. Listen, you don't want to miss these amazing, amazing podcasts. And then we come back on the second and fourth Friday with Africa Restoration Army podcast live with Manny Cush. It's amazing. You don't want to miss this. And then on Sundays, we have Motivation Moments with Greg Bloomfield at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You do not want to miss it. Be inspired, be motivated. Listen, Greg is also every Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss these amazing, amazing podcasts that come on that are going to inspire you and motivate you. And then coming back in February, we have Morning Tea with Lonnie B live every morning at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss starting the day with the Word. So we have so many wonderful things here on the Lonnie B and Company Network. So please be a part of it. And again, like, tag, and share. We appreciate you taking the time out to join us on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're here every Saturday. So please don't forget to join us and invite your friends. You could also reach me at dearlifeafter@gmail. Or you can reach me direct on the phone. We're here to help guide you through whatever it is. We're here because we want to make an impact in lives. So please, please, please don't forget to join us. And if you want to donate to the ministry of this podcast, you can donate via Cash App or Zelle. The podcast is not a free production. So this is ministry here. That is why we have people telling their stories so that we can impact lives. This is ministry. We want to be able to help people in any way that we can. So please continue to support us, like us, follow us on our page, and listen. As I always say, make it a great day on purpose, and we'll see you on next week. Bye for now.